cost the United States hundreds of billions of dollars to control non-native species. These species can clog water intake pipes for dams, eat unique native species, and carry harmful pathogens. The federal government believes this to be justification for restrictions on the trade of such species, but the pet industry views this as an ineffective solution to a complex problem. Of the 958 species listed as threatened or endangered, as many as 400 on the list because of invasive species. Of these species, 44 native aquatic species have been impacted adversely due to invasive species. As a result, these alien fish often alter the ecology and dynamics of ecosystems, such as the reduction of natural aquatic vegetation, as well as a reduction in water quality. Consequently, some native fish species have gone extinct because of these effects, with disastrous results to the rest of the ecosystem.
Fishermen have been lobbying British colonial authorities for the past decade to take action against the growing populations of a local species cichlid, the haplochromis. Anatomically small and bony, the haplochromis interfered with the profitability of daily catches. They were getting trapped in their nets. Local ecologists argued the lake needed a large and efficient predator to turn the haplochromis fish stocks into something more economically viable. A primary predator was chosen to eradicate this species, the Nile perch. With evidence that the Nile perch could relieve pressure on tilapia stocks, it was agreed upon that it would primarily feed upon haplochromis with minor impacts to the rest of the lake's ecosystem. They were wrong. Within 20 years, the voracious predator drove 65% of the haplochromis species to extinction, one of the largest mass extinctions in the last century.
Closer to home, the zebra mussel has been devastating local ecosystems. Believed to have been inadvertently introduced into the lakes and the ballast water of ocean-going ships, the zebra mussel has now established breeding populations in many major waterways across the entire nation, blocking pipelines, clogging water intakes of municipal water supplies and hydroelectric companies, costing the United States over $3 billion annually in efforts to contain its spread. Because of these historic and modern environmental issues, federal regulation of the importation of live plants and animals has been in place for well over a century. The most notable case of government intervention is the Lacey Act of 1900. Signed into law by President William McKinley, the Lacey Act still restricts the trade of live plants and animals and serves as the government standard when it comes to civil and criminal penalties. The bill has been amended multiple times over the course of a century to make way for more legislation pertaining to the trade of pets in order to protect wildlife. In 2008, it was amended when other bills' powers were expanded to control a broader range of plants, following in line with government's recent stance that even larger number of species should be regulated. These strict guidelines and inspections have served to help cut down the environmental threat posed by non-native species.
Be that as it may, federal legislation has occasionally proven to be ineffective and often imposes needless restrictions on the pet industry. Many Americans take pleasure in raising exotic fish species as pets, valuing their beauty, intriguing behavior, and low maintenance. At least 11.9 million Americans own freshwater species, many of which are non-indigenous to the United States. However, the federal government has taken the initiative to ban many popular species, including, but not limited to, the common swordtail, zebra-danio, Amazon sailfin catfish, rainbow crib, mosquito fish, Asian carp, and killifish. Many view this as an intrusion on personal as well as commercial freedoms. According to Marshall Myers, General Counsel of the Pet Industry Joint Advisory Council, Zajac, a trade association that represents the pet industry, the majority of the studies regarding the ecological impacts caused by introduced fish implicate the deliberate introductions made by federal agencies for recreational and biocontrol purposes, rather than purely as a result of the pet trade. They suggest clear and effective legislation has yet to be made feasible because federal agencies do not have the financial resources necessary to enforce any current and future legislation. For example, the Non-Native Wildlife Invasion Prevention Act, or H.R. 669, a more recent piece of legislation, is designed to prevent the introduction and establishment of non-native wildlife species that negatively impact the economy, environment, or other animal species or human health, and for other purposes. However, Zajac criticized that H.R. 669 required funds and staffing not currently available to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and could have resulted in the mass release and/or euthanasia of pets nationwide, since the bill called for a strict crackdown on all alien species, minus a few hundred specifically excluded.
However, many of the species listed, Zajac points out, have not actually been proven to be harmful to any local ecosystems and are wrongly blamed for hypothetical environmental problems. With most reviews of the bill drawing negative criticism, H.R. 669 was referred to committee, and many now consider it virtually dead, but it still remains a main source of debate today. Zajac claims to support any bill that strategically takes into account scientific, socioeconomic, animal welfare, resource management, and human and institutional issues. Furthermore, with the Habit Attitude campaign, many pet advocacy groups hope to promote the education of pet owners in regards to environmental responsibility and consequences of releasing pets they can no longer care for. Nevertheless, the efforts of this campaign will take many decades to see any effective results and require the cooperation of pet owners nationwide.
Whether looking towards the efforts of the pet industry or the actions of federal legislatures, efforts are focused on the control of non-native species and local habitats. These alien organisms can have devastating effects on the ecology of nearby habitats and cost the United States billions of dollars in control efforts each year. Government officials work towards restricting the trade of non-indigenous species in the United States as the solution to this problem. However, the pet industry believes that they are being undeservedly assigned blame and the restrictions to be ineffective at solving a more complex issue. Regardless of the cause of these outbreaks, it remains clear that a united course of action must be taken to solve this problem.